I'm a cultural anthropologist. My primary love is to work with communities of different cultures and to engage in real conversations, hard conversations, conversations about erasure, conversations about access to education, changing the narrative, providing understanding to the colonial impacts of assimilation. I grew up on the Yakima Reservation. So my mom and my dad, they really just empowered us to expand and to think about what we could do in education. Culture was a very important part of that. Mom would have drum groups to teach our traditional songs. She would teach us our social dances, and she would take us out into community to educate other school districts, local organizations, and the youth were the teachers, right? We were the educators out there sharing our stories and our resilience. And my mom was a cultural advocate and a cultural leader in community. So having her bring that empowerment to our young people, I also lived that. When I became a professional staff in the University of Washington in 2001, I would come to the Burke gift store because of my cultural practices. I needed gifts for elders and other community members. I came to this position as the first tribal liaison for the Burke Museum back in 2015. It was a really beautiful opportunity. I had relocated to Oklahoma for a position as a CEO of a nonprofit, and this job opened up and it just called to me. Being with my ancestors, being with the collections, the materials that we hold in this place, and finding a new relationship with them, and providing access to our tribal communities and engaging in a deeper conversation, but also addressing the harm that museums that we feel when we visit a museum and we see our materials behind glass. The opportunities that I found, that I saw as I've developed relationships with all of the staff and faculty and curators within the museum, is the opportunity to co-create stories. I believe in evidence-based research. I also believe in Indigenous ways of knowing and our science practices that have not been validated by Western evidence-based research. And so I think we have a really amazing opportunity. It's changing, but the narrative still comes from a non-native anthropologist or a non-native storyline that refers to us as a past population. And if you look around, if you really change your lens, there's diversity around. There are natives around in Seattle. And so it's being able to check in before living the assumption. Indian country was hit very hard by COVID. So the governments were shut down, the businesses were shut down. So accessing and carrying on the conversations that we had prioritized were put on hold. Now the opportunity that came out of this was I was able to then focus internally and start working with individuals, departments, staff members, and talk really deeply about what decolonization is for the Burke Museum, and start identifying our strengths in where we're doing really good work, but also seeing gaps or blind spots and opportunities that we have to really lean into the conversations. And I was able to talk to some of my elders about these ideas, and they feel it's a very good idea and they look forward to it. The tribes also don't know what they don't know that a museum can provide them. We default to culture, which is great, but we have so much more as a natural history and culture museum to offer tribes to address the issues going on with climate change, conservation of our environment, healing our environment, as well as education opportunities for our people and our youth. When I hear our tribal elders and leaders say the Burke Museum is doing this work in a good way, that is definitely something that makes me very happy.